Shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Torah Tidbits. This week is a double portion this year, and it includes the Torah portion number 39 and 40, which is Chukat, which means statues, and Torah portion Belach, which that's the name of one of the characters in that Torah portion. Now, the scriptures are Bamidbar, Numbers, chapter 19, all the way to chapter 23. And so, Chukat deals with a chukim, which is a law that is set forth in the Torah, which has no explanation. God gives the command, but he doesn't give a reason for the command. And it deals with the ashes of the red heifer. And rabbis and sages of blessed memory, may peace be upon them, have continually said that it's beyond human understanding. There's so much mystery to the red heifer. They imply that Shlomo, Solomon, the wisest person in the world that ever was and ever will be, besides Yeshua, said that he couldn't wrap his brain around it. He couldn't understand it. The rabbis and sages said, how can this red heifer, the ashes of the red heifer, purify somebody, but the ones who create the ashes by burning the animal, they become unclean? How could this be? The red heifer is very essential in an abstract way in biblical prophecy, because if a red heifer is produced, that could very well mean that the third temple is not too far away of being rebuilt. Not only that, but it also implies that the coming of Mashiach is very close. Now, there are Jewish and Christian agricultural farmers who are doing their best to try to breed a red heifer. They have bred red heifers in the past, and they were getting all excited. And at the last minute, when they were doing their examinations, there's a couple white hairs or a couple black hairs, which rendered the red heifer invalid to use, because it had to be a pure red heifer. It had to be 100% red all over, not one white hair or one black hair on its body. Has to be between the ages of 3 to 5 years old, if I remember correctly. And the red heifer would be slaughtered outside the camp, would be burned and reduced to ash, every bit of it, and among it would be a piece of cedar wood, some hyssop, and a scarlet cord, and they all have symbolism. These ashes would be during the temple era, they were divided into 3 parts. One part was kept in a secret place in the Mount of Olives, one part close to the temple, just outside the walls, somewhere outside, and the third would be divided among the Kohanim, among Israel. It would be mixed with water, and the water during the temple era was gathered from the pool of Siloam, and this would be used to purify people that were unclean due to contact with corpses and things of this nature. Now, there's a lot of symbolism in regards to the red heifer. The red heifer typifies Mashiach, because Mashiach was crucified and killed outside the camp. He was offered up outside the camp. The cedar kind of represents the execution stake, the cross that Yeshua was crucified on. The red scarlet cord represents the not only the rivulets of blood during the crucifixion, but it also represents at the same time sin, because Isaiah talks about a crimson stain, sin being like crimson, and your sins be as scarlet, it shall be white as wool. During Yom Kippur, a similar cord, a scarlet crimson cord, was wrapped around the neck of the scapegoat. So the red heifer kind of has allusions to Yom Kippur, because it's used in purification and things of this nature. So this is kind of the long and short of Chukat, of the ashes of the red heifer. Now let's move on to Balak. Now Balaam, he was a pagan prophet. He was kind of the Gentiles' version of Moses. He was a very famous, well-known prophet among the Gentiles, and he heard from a plethora of other gods, which we really know that they're nothing but demons. But he also had connections and dealings with Yahweh, the God of Israel. Back in those days, gods were considered territorial. So the reason Balaam knew about all these other gods because he was a traveling prophet, and whatever city he was in, he would connect with the gods there and talk to them there, because the gods only had jurisdiction and power in a certain territory. Well, little did he know that Yahweh, King of the universe, blessed be He, has power over all. So Balaam is hired by King Balak to curse Israel, and every time he goes out to curse Israel, those curses got turned into blessings. He had full intentions on cursing Israel because he was getting paid to do that. And every time he'd open up his mouth, he couldn't speak anything but blessing. And Balaam said, "Hey, this is embarrassing, Balak, King Balak. I'm sorry, but I fully intend to curse Israel for you. But they all keep coming out blessings. I can't say anything that Yahweh won't allow me to say." And I think this is a very powerful message. Even though there's witchcraft, sorcery, curses, hex and vexes, yada yada yada, being spoken against Torah observant believers in Yeshua, the blood of Yeshua covers us, and whatever is intended for a curse can oftentimes be bounced back and brought upon a curse on their own heads, and in turn it turns out to be a blessing for us. So Yahweh is behind us. If Yahweh is for us, who can be against us? And with the powerful blood of Yeshua atoning us and covering us, what could possibly harm us? Sure, when we sin, we open ourselves up to attack. When sometimes we're blindsided and we're attacked, and we have to plead the blood of Yeshua and rebuke the powers that be that are behind and send those curses back to where they came from. But the curses are turned into blessings, and this is also an allusion to the blessings and cursings that are given in Deuteronomy 27 and 28, saying if you don't keep the Torah, then these curses will happen. The rabbis and sages of blessed memory, peace be upon them, have always said that these curses are always to be looked at as blessings in disguise, because the design of these curses are not necessarily to obliterate us and ground us into the dirt and punish us severely. They are to punish us, yes, but in such a way that it'll help us to realize our mistakes and woo us back to Yahweh and to His Torah. They're meant to guide us back, to get us back on the straight path. Like sometimes when a horse strays off the trail, the spurs or the little whip kind of helps guide the horse back to where it needs to be, and the blinders and things like that. So it's kind of the same principle, kind of a similar way. Those tactics and techniques may seem cruel, but whipping the horse or jutting the horse with the spurs isn't meant to inflict harm or punishment, but it's meant to just say, hey, pay attention to what you're doing, Mr. Horse, get back on track here. And that's kind of what Yahweh is doing through the curses. The Torah portion of Balak also shows us that really, in reality, nobody can curse us. Nobody can curse us. The only ones who can curse us are we ourselves. How do we curse ourselves? I just explained it to you. By not keeping the Torah. When we disobey a Torah and walk away from Torah, we open ourselves wide to all the curses that God said would come upon us if we break Torah and disobey Torah. So, God doesn't even put curses on us. We put curses on ourselves. We are the only ones who can curse ourselves by our disobedience. So, even if somebody is sent to curse us, they can't really curse us. The curses are null and void. They can't really do any damage when we're under the protection of living a Torah-observant life, walking in the footsteps of Yeshua our Messiah by walking and following the Torah. I can see the clock is running out on me, so I will say Shabbat Shalom and Shavua Tov. Hopefully you enjoyed this Torah portion. Hope you get a lot more out of it than I was able to give you. So see you next week. Praying for y'all. Love y'all. Shalom.